So 2024 presidential candidate Chris Christie has dropped out. Now, this should not be a shock to anybody, but I still wanted to talk about it for a little bit. So this is from ABC News. Haley is going to get smoked. Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie ended his 2024 presidential campaign on Wednesday, having drawn much attention as the Republican primary's main Donald Trump critic, but failing to gain widespread traction in the polls. Excuse me. I would rather lose by telling the truth than lie in order to win, he said during a town hall event when he announced he was suspending his bid, which he called the right thing for me to do. Because I want to promise you this, I am going to make sure that in no way do I enable Donald Trump to ever be president of the United States again. And that's more important than my own personal ambition, he said. So we have to decide now. We have to decide in the next 10 months who we want to be as a country. Now, I'm not one of those, liberals who gets teary-eyed every time someone says something slightly mean about Donald Trump. I think remember, this was a while back, but people were liberals were complimenting and praising George Bush, I think, for saying something not nice about Donald Trump. It's like, dude, you can, just because someone says something not nice about Donald Trump, that doesn't make them a good person. It doesn't make them a good person. Same with Chris Christie. He's not a good person. Don't you forget that. In fact, he was. I think the article goes on to talk about it. He ran in 2016 before suspending his bid and endorsing Trump, who went on to win the White House that year, or later that year. Christie led Trump's transition team and advised him while in office before eventually becoming one of Trump's most vocal detractors within the GOP. So again, he was personally snubbed by Trump, so I think, a good deal of motivation comes in. He just hates Trump for personal reasons and for career reasons. And so he has no... he doesn't mind going out in public and trashing him. Politics is often very personal, folks. But what I find fascinating is that Christie is like him or not, he's one of those old-fashioned Republicans, if you know what I mean. He was willing to go along with the Trump train at some point, but he sort of fell off the wagon, and now he sees the writing on the wall. There are a few Republicans that see the writing on the wall, which is, as I like to say when I want to jolt people out of their seats, that Donald Trump is the greatest enemy of the Republican Party. Now, what I mean by that is he's, destroying the party from within. He's running it into the ground with his misinformation, with his conspiracy theories, with the anti-woke ideology, that he and others are spreading like wildfire. He's turned the Republican Party into, I think I said this in another video, but just it's not even a real political party anymore. It's not even a real option. It's just a weird cult that is so far removed from reality. So, and many of the donors in the Republican Party, or many of the donors who give to the Republican Party, they realize this. So, you've seen a lot more Nikki Haley coverage recently, and I think that's because many of the donors are wanting to get Nikki Haley to run. Many of the donors are wanting to exclude Donald Trump because he's volatile, he's unpredictable, he's ignorant. So, it's better to have an establishment hack in there who will do their bidding than to have a wrecking ball like the Donald in there. But he's got the base. He's got the base. I mean, and I know we're all talking about, and we all know that, like, it's going to be another Trump v. Biden, which is, a little weird. A little deja vu there, if you know what I mean. But I think it's almost certainly going to be the case. No, I don't see any other Republican having any chance against Donald Trump. He has just struck a nerve in the minds of so many people, and they've fallen for, all his lies and propaganda. That, as he said many years ago, I mean, he could shoot someone down Fifth Avenue, and wouldn't lose a single vote. That's how devoted his cult members are. And I mean, who knows where it'll lead in the long run? But I predict that it will just destroy the Republican Party. I think at some point, some other party, hopefully, maybe even a more reasonable conservative party, will end up rising out of the ashes when people just can't take it anymore. Or maybe a more reactionary party will take its place, and we will see a very dark day in America indeed. That's all speculative. I'm not going to say one way or the other. But I mean, this is all, I bring all this up in the context of Chris Christie because, there are a few mainstream voices in the Republican Party that are vocal that their party has changed, because their party has changed, and they're vocal about wanting the party to go back to, the way things were, where you just cut taxes for the wealthy. And you just focused on those, conservative policies that benefited the upper classes. And there was less, emphasis on all this anti-wokeness stuff. I doubt many of the Republican donors really give a damn about wokeness, if you know what I mean. But just goes to show that, in fact, it looks like in the Republican Party, the donors are not in alignment with the base. And the party has changed. Part of me is filled with glee. Part of me is filled with fear. Like I said, we'll see what happens.